Is it live here? Is that okay, you guys? What's going on? This is your boy Scotty by Nature T. Ooh, look like I got something from that Taco Bell stuff on my chin. But what's going on, y'all? This is your boy Scotty by Nature TV, and we're here for a star-studded panel. Okay, it's a star-studded. Very excited about this panel. Very proud of the panel. Very proud of the people that I chose for said panel. What is on my chin? I'll fix it when everybody else come back. But anyway, I picked some amazing people from this panel. A lot of you guys is faves, of course. One in particular is a newbie to YouTube. I actually found her doing the chasing reality saga and bring her on the panel as well. I think she has a lot of opinions on this. Before we get into the star study cast, I just want to say Contrary Canary will be here. She will be here at least 30 minutes late, okay? So without any further, let's bring in the star-studded cast of this panel, okay? First of all, started off with the creme de la creme, Layla
Oh,
Lynn. Let's
oh.
bring Layla Lynn into the building, okay? Boom, boom,
What's
boom,
up, you
boom,
guys?
boom.
Hi, what's up, Scotty?
All right, coming up next. What's going on? You excited about this?
Yes, I'm very excited to be here.
All right.
Yes.
Very much so. Okay, next up, for herself, we got Erica De Niro TV in the building. Of course, of course, of course.
I'm mute, child. Hey,
You
everybody.
muted.
Thank you
All
for
right.
inviting me, Scotty. What's up, y'all?
Oh, no problem, no problem, no problem. Coming up next, the fashionable, exquisite girl herself. We got the Brooke Ashley in the building. She a
Hey,
little bit of wine and champagne in every video. She gonna keep y'all with a red lip and some in fashion. She gonna make you have something to look at her videos, okay? So
hey,
there she is.
hey, Scotty. Hey, Erica. Hey,
All
Layla.
right. Let me tell y'all some of the comments. Brooke is nervous as shit, but I told her not to be nervous. I did tell her not to be nervous, okay? Okay. Next up, um, one of my big bros and one of my panel members and one person that I love to antagonize all the time just because it's fun. Let me bring in Yarel, who is also known as Yakratis. Oh Lord.
What's going on, everybody?
All right. Okay, next up is one of my favorites. Okay, I found her during the last season of Basketball Wives, and I've loved her ever since. And I knew that she had to be on this panel. Let's bring it. Let's give it up to Mrs. Star TV. All right, let's give it to Mrs. Star.
Hey.
All right. Next up, I've been following him for quite some time now, and I'm very much so honored to have him on my show. Let's give it up for Kim Pyre Radio.
Hey, everyone. So excited for this panel and this conversation.
Most definitely. And last but not least, she's a brand new YouTuber on the scene. Okay, I've seen her being promoted on, the Chasing Dallas and Chasing Atlanta stuff. You know what I mean? That's why I found her. And I saw that she watches my stuff, and she had a strong opinion about what we're going to talk about tonight. And I thought that she would be a great person to be on this panel as well as everybody else. So let's give a warm welcome to a YouTube newbie by the name of one. All right.
Hey, everybody. Hi. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Hi, everybody.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Okay, I tell everybody, don't be nervous. Okay. Now, before we get into anything, I just want to say that I know that I may be lagging just a little bit. I may have a slight delay, but that tends to happen when we're on StreamYard's time. So don't. Don't get alarmed. We'll do the best thing best we can with this conversation. And we already talked about it. We're not gonna try to have y'all on here for too long because I know sometimes my panels can go for a long damn time, and everybody ain't got that kind of time. So we ain't gonna go too long, but we're gonna do our best not to go no more than an hour and 30 minutes. So what's going on, everybody?
I'm chilling.
I just finished watching Basketball Wives, so I'm ready.
Oh,
I'm ready.
We have some hard work here up north. It's kind of bad.
Yes, God. Okay, so I don't even know where to start with this conversation.
I'm trying not to talk over anybody.
There's been a lot of talk. Yeah, no, okay. Sometimes that can happen. Sometimes that can happen. But I want to say that there's been a lot of talk this season, last season, in regards to colorism, featureism, favoritism. There's a whole lot of isms, you know what I'm saying, in regards to the situation. So, my question to you guys is this: do you think it's colorism? Do you think it's featureism? Do you think it's favoritism? Do you think it's all three? And we could go from there because at the end of the day, I think it's all three. And I'm not even that educated on colorism like that. But this is the reason why I did this panel because Brooke has told her story, being, having experiences with colorism. I think Nikki told a story once before about her experience with colorism. So, you know. And for those of you that's in the comments, I do not need to upgrade my internet. It is not my internet, honey. It is StreamYard, okay? So, with that
come
being
on, y'all.
said,
Be nice.
whoever wants to start, go ahead. I'm going to put myself on mute, though.
I guess I'll start. I usually let ladies go first, but I'll start. Well, one thing I'll say, and when I came on the panel last time, I had one view of this particular situation, but I think it's hard for us to say one thing is colorism, favoritism, featureism when we're watching something that's so heavily edited. So the producers are making us see something as one thing, and then we're hearing from other people it's another thing. So it's hard for us to clearly say without a doubt that it's one particular thing. We do know that colorism exists in our society. We do know that favoritism exists on this show. We've seen it multiple times. And it's hard for me to still say, oh, it's clear as day colorism. But I'm also not going to say that OG is incorrect in how she's feeling. I'm still on the fence when it comes to colorism, but like I said, it's hard to make a judgment call when we see something that's so heavily edited. Go ahead.
Kim Pie, I just want to know your opinion. Do you think it's colorism or do you think it's not?
Like I said, it's hard for me to make that final determination. When I first was watching the show, I didn't think it was colorism based on what they were having OG say it was, as opposed to what she shared on social media. And like I said before, I don't think I can't deny that's how she felt it was that. But from what I saw and from the way that she said it was colorism, I was like, well, that's not the definition of colorism. Because there were a few times that she said, oh, I forgot the exact wordings that she used on a couple of different episodes. I was like, well, that's not how you define colorism based on the definition. But like I said.
So I guess we could start there, Scotty. You were saying, how do we start this? How do you define colorism? Like, what is, Kim Pie, you referred to, what is the official definition? That's a good starting place.
Well, I don't have the official definition in front of me, but based on what
I do. Would you like me to read it?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Colorism is the prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a dark skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group.
I just wanted to say one thing really quickly. I just literally said this on our Really BTV channel. I was over there not that long ago, like within the last hour. But when it comes to issues such as like racism and colorism, because of how America has been built and how everything, pretty much hides behind the illusion of white supremacy, because there are certain laws and legislation and whatnot put in place, it's very hard to sit here and pinpoint what is racism, what is colorism, because a lot of it deals with intent. And a lot of it is hidden behind everyday things like, okay, well, why didn't you hire me? Oh, well, it's not because you're African American, it's because you're too qualified, or you're less than qualified, or you're this, or you're that. So even though there are definitions, which is pretty much given to us by the dominant society, it's a hard conversation when people want to use a definition to be like, this is what this is, when racism and colorism and all the other isms can hide behind these different premises.
Can I say something real quick? I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so to cover the whole entire colorism thing versus racism, one analogy that I could put together is the whole monkey concept, right? What are monkeys? Monkeys are primarily brown and black, okay? It is used as a derogatory term to discriminate against Black people because they're Black and they're brown. So that is two things, futurism and colorism, because of the way that people have physical traits. So the reason why a lot of fans are saying that it's both of those things and also favoritism is because of how the way that word is used in a derogatory way in order to define Black people. So when you hear another Black person call you a monkey, it's no different than somebody outside of our race identifying us. That's how the way they identify us. Let's be clear. So if some people have a difficult time really understanding why it's such a problematic issue with basketball wives and why it's such a problematic issue with them dismissing it and not saying that it's not colorism and it's not racism and it's not futurism, it's all those things from that one word. And that's my first opinion.
And Scotty, one thing I'll just add is that when we were having this conversation before, and I had an aha moment when one of your callers called in and said that one of the things that the producers and what the ladies didn't have on set was someone to sort of mediate this conversation. It just sort of is like they were just left to their own devices to kind of figure it out on their own. And I think someone coming in could have really helped this season seem like, because I don't know if you're ever going to find a resolution, but at least maybe find something, because I don't think we found anything in this particular season in regards to healing, a resolution, whatever it may be.
Well, I think it's all of it. And I think the favoritism comes in from the subconscious bias of colorism. And also, what else can we call it? Favoritism, colorism, featureism. And we believe that Shawnee was showing favoritism to a friend of hers who looks a certain way and was able to act a certain way without consequence or repercussion. But then you have another girl who looks starkly different. And I do want to make it so clear that we're talking about basketball wives. And we're talking about an industry where the wives of basketball players are typically light-skinned, racially ambiguous, non-Black. So now you have this woman who comes in here who doesn't look like the rest of the basketball wife committee. She looks a little different. And that's why she was always, I guess, criticized for her outward appearance. They didn't get to know her. They were looking her up before she even got on the show. They were judging her, looking at her clothes. And then the only descriptions were very harsh descriptions of her. Aggressive, ugly. Nobody calls anybody ugly, the way that Evelyn was saying it, ugly, ugly, like really saying it. And then calling her a dirty ass. You know what I mean? All of those things, I feel like from the favoritism, I feel like it's because there was an unconscious bias right there to Evelyn, right? Because if you think about it, Royce, all the dark-skinned women were all treated a certain way, right? And Evelyn, the non-Black, okay, let's be clear, okay, the non-Black Puerto Rican woman comes in and is able to terrorize all of the cast members, her and Tammy. We're not going to leave Tammy out because Tammy did too, but Evelyn, right? Evelyn can really skate across tables, throw full wine bottles, and has never been segregated in a reunion. So I think it's all of it. That's what I feel like it's all. And I feel like the favoritism comes from an unconscious bias. And we can really be clear that in every ethnic group where there is a color spectrum, colorism exists, right? And we really have to, like, at the end of the day, it's an alignment with white supremacy. And that's it. Whatever's lighter, whatever's whiter, whatever looks like white is right. Okay, now we can.
Well, you know what, Nikki? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nikki. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me just hop in here and just say I agree with all across the board with Erica, right? Not only is it colorism, not only is it featureism, it's also xenophobia. It's also that. And when Erica was talking about, this is basketball wise, we're talking about a certain kind of woman that is allowed into those spaces. When she was speaking of that, I was thinking about Rex Chapman. He is this former basketball player on Twitter, and he has a really popular Twitter following. And he was talking about the Meghan and Harry interview with Oprah. And he was saying that this stuff is real. He was saying that when he first got into the NBA, his whole life, he only dated Black women. They forced him or heavily encouraged him to start dating white women, which is how, he ended up in, a marriage with a white woman. It didn't work out. I'm not saying this because she's white, but I am saying that he said that owners would come to him and tell him not to bring this kind of woman to, the basketball court and to the games. So these basketball wives who fit an appropriate look that the NBA allowed to come to the games and sit on, the front row, or whatever, or be on the arm piece for these athletes are telling this dark-skinned Black woman she is American, but she is first generation American, who is from Nigeria, who does not look like them, who does not dress like them, who does not live in this idea that she is not on the same level as them, because that's the problem. These light-skinned Black women, these multiracial, brown women got a problem with this sister with her ancestral features and her dark skin sitting on the same level as them and feeling like she belongs. Those American women hate that because we are raised to think, like Erica said, white is right. Everything that we have that goes on in this nation, everything is white. It's all about how white is right, and that is what we strive to be. And unfortunately, our people don't want to see that. We can see racism, but we cannot see colorism. It is all of those things. Like Kim Pyer said, this show is heavily edited. But as somebody who has experienced all of this, I'm gonna let you know it's all of what I just said, all of it. And I'll let somebody else speak.
I mean, well, I was going to say my point because I know that I was somewhat of a placeholder for, contrary. Hey, love, how you doing? All that you have. But since she's here, and I guess I'll be up here, I just wanted to try to take 5 minutes right quick just so I can give y'all just a little light, a little something when it comes to the whole colorism, color, and all that other stuff. Because for those who know, when the Moors, we're over in Europe, and Moors, and the name of that, a lot of that comes from the Romans, who gave them a bit of that name. And even a lot of the Europeans at the time had a name for, those Africans over there. So Moor was the name. but they were over there, helped to do a whole lot of stuff. I'm gonna keep it vague because we ain't going down that particular road. But when you really speak about color, we don't see that until like the early 1600s, where a lot of this existed. And I've said this a lot, where a lot of what we deal with, we don't want to talk about it because it originates from slavery, segregation, post-slavery, what else? Jim Crow, all these other things, that we don't want to revisit that because that's not a place that we want to be. But in the early 1600s, when we really get this whole color thing, and when you deal with the early Europeans, if I'm not mistaken, they were probably British, if I'm not mistaken, they came over to the Americas. And let's be clear, the Africans showed them how to get over here first. Let's keep it all the way 100. But when they came over here, they had this ideal of what white was, because with Christianity and how they manipulated it, white is pure, is not tainted and all this other stuff. But when you deal with their history, you have the Black Plague, the Black Death, the Black this, the Black that. So when you get over here in America, now they have Africans as slaves. And if you want to argue whether the Irish were indentured or slaves, that's for y'all, not for me. But you have them, and the early bits of them, the Irish grouped with the African slaves, and they revolted in some of the different places. And what happened is the dominant society is like, you know what? We can't have this happen. So even though white really isn't a thing, because we share the same color palette, we'll group you in and we'll make it this whole thing of, okay, we're Black, they're white, we're dominant, you're not, despite the fact that many of them were the lowest of the totem pole in terms of what this white ideology is. And a lot of it starts there. And even then, it was around that time. And even as we get to current day, Africans never call themselves Black. You're either from, Zimbabwe, you're from over here, you're from the Ivory Coast, you're from, what I'm saying? Like this, when you deal with the Europeans, you're not white, you're from Germany, you're from the Czech, you're from the Dutch, you're from France. With the Asians, y'all get where I'm going with this. But now we're in this place to where these modern day Europeans that have no culture because they wanted to leave the British, their identity is just white. And now you have the Africans, they're Black. You have the Asians, they're yellow. You have the Hispanics, they're brown. And when we start to sit here and black, this, no other ethnicity, for the most part, identifies themselves as a color. Because part of identifying yourself as a color somewhat dehumanizes you. We as African Americans are the main ones that sit here and does this internalizing of color. And for me, I do my best to not say Black. This is just me. I say African American or Nigerian American or this American. But a lot of that stems from the whole thing of color. And when you have that mindset, I'm sorry, but you wrap yourself into this illusion of white supremacy because they deal with color. And right quick before I let y'all go, one of the best examples I can use is Real Housewives of Potomac, when Michael talked with Chris. And when he spoke to him about Candace acting up, he was like, you need to check your wife, and it was one of those skin folk type things. But when they finally fell out, what did he do? It went from him being white to he's now Australian, and that is white trash. And I'm gonna just let it go, and I'm gonna let y'all go. That's all I got.
Come with it. You better come with it.
All right. So before I let anybody else speak, first of all, I just want to say hello to Contrary Canary. First of all, she just got into the building. So where we're at right now is whether or not the issue with basketball wives is featureism, colorism, favoritism, or each ism that I named. I think Brooke, have you went yet?
No, I just wanted to
Have you
say
gone yet?
something quickly.
Okay.
I definitely think that it is all three, colorism, featureism, and favoritism. But I also believe that they really have a problem with OG because even though she doesn't fit what they deem beautiful, she walks with her head held high. And people have this thing where if they find you, you know, unappealing or whatever, they want you to believe that as well. You know what I'm saying? And I think that they keep deeming her aggressive and unattractive and whatever negative adjective they can find because they're just really pissed off that she has true confidence. And with Evelyn, I don't think that her and Shawnee and Jen have true confidence. I think it's all based on what they have. And don't get me wrong, I love a designer as well, but I do, you know what I'm saying? You know, I love a good material item, but I know that that's not where my worth comes from at the end of the day. If it should all be stripped away from me, I know that that's not where it's, you know, it doesn't come from there. It comes from in here. And I think that they're upset because she has that and they don't. And it's just a whole mix of things. Because it's like, well, how dare you? How dare you be so confident? And they're pissed that, you know, she's just like, you know, I'm that girl. And they don't think so. So they want her to shut up and just sit there and take the scraps that they want her, you know, to take. They want her to sweat them and she's just not going to do it.
Can I say something? I want to follow back up with the person that spoke before. I don't know what's going on with my screen, but I would like to say this. He was talking about immigrants, right? I am an immigrant myself. I came here from the islands, and it's very true. When I lived in Jamaica, I didn't go as Black. I didn't identify anything outside of being an islander, right? So I am an islander. When I came to the United States, and I'll never forget it, I didn't experience or knew what racism was. I didn't know what colorism was until I moved in the United States in the inner Black city. I had no idea. You know, when I came up here and I migrated to this country, there was a lot of things that I went through, I experienced. I briefly talked about it on my page today, on my YouTube channel. And one of the things that I experienced was colorism right from the back. You know, and when it got to the point where when I would try to have conversation with people, they would shut me down. They're like, "Oh, you're speaking back. Like, why are you speaking?" And it was just like so foreign to me because it's just like I'm from a household that I am raised to answer whenever an adult speaks to me. It's kind of like, you know, an assertiveness, right? So I get OG's personality. I get that she's very direct, and you know. One thing that upset me that nobody really asked the question, number one, they didn't ask, is this a cultural thing on why OG is like this? Is the reason why that she is so, you know, combative to you and but it's normal to her, can it be a cultural thing? Can it be how the way that she was raised? Or could it be that she was taught that to love her skin? Because one thing I could identify with OG when it comes to this whole colorism and racism and featureism is that my family has never, as much as bleaching issues is going on right now in Jamaica, my family has never discriminated against me because I'm dark. As a matter of fact, they told me to embrace myself. So I could understand where there's certain vocabularies that might be offensive to OG, but nobody asked her. And the thing about it is you have to question, do you have anybody outside of the country? Do you have any Black friends that are islanders, Black friends that are from different countries? And most importantly, would you react in this way if it was Christian that was portraying herself like this? Would we be talking about featureism? Would you be attacking her for being this way? The answer is no. You wouldn't be attacking her. So the fact that you constantly sit up here and say, we want to learn, we want to understand, you didn't even take the time out to just ask an African or ask somebody who is a Black immigrant. How do you communicate amongst your family? My mom does not curse. So my mom doesn't use any curse words. So she don't use black, take your black behind. That's discriminatory. That's a very that's discrimination to us. You know what I'm saying? Like identifying us as a skin tone, saying the N word is something that is unacceptable. You can say what you want about Jamaicans, about them bleaching their skin, but go to Jamaica and call somebody the N word in the city. I dare you. Because it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. It's not going to be tolerated. And it doesn't even matter if the next person next to you is bleaching. Everybody's going to turn around and give you the same reaction. We don't identify with skin color. We don't identify with derogatory terms when it comes to how the way that we talk to each other and how the way we talk to our kids. So it's very hard for people who are not American to understand where OG is coming from when she says that there's certain things that's colorism. It more than likely is a cultural thing. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, Country Every Canary, you are up now.
Thank you. So the question, just so I'm clear, because I came in late, is whether the issue is featureism, colorism, or favoritism, or all three, right? So it's definitely all three. But to piggyback off Brooke, the problem is OG was not supposed to be the it girl. In the light-skinned girls crew, it's all about the light-skinned girls. How dare a melanin-rich woman show up and be confident and not have self-esteem issues about her skin, about her hair, about how OG is built because she works out and look nice. How dare you come in here and not back down to Evelyn? How dare you come in here and not fall at the light-skinned girl's feet? When you go through the history of basketball wives, all of the melanin rich women are what? Sidekicks. Jennifer was a sidekick. She was not the main event. And so, yes, it's all three, but they wanted to belittle her and degrade her to where they had, what was those other two chicks? One was light skinned, her name was Keisha, and what was the other one? I think it was from around season 4. They wanted to chop her down to where she could no longer have that confidence. And so the issue is, how dare you come in here and feel self-assured? And that was the issue. So when I hear people say, well, OG is ugly or she has a bad attitude, what they have a case of is can't take. They could not take this beautiful Black woman, this beautiful African princess walking up in here and not bowing down at the feet of Evelyn. That's what the problem is. And I'm sick of Evelyn. I'm sick of Shawnee. And I'm sick of people calling OG ugly. My mother is a melanin-rich Black woman. And even within our own family, she experienced colorism. My dad's mother used to always tell her that my maternal grandfather and my maternal uncle, oh, they're handsome for dark-skinned men. So I'm not going to sit here and let people play in my face and tell me that what's going on Basketball Wives is because OG has an attitude and because she's ugly. What I will ask is, why do you think OG is ugly? And I'll wait for you to answer it, because the true reason is because she's a melanin-rich Black woman. And then you will start to compare her to being a monkey or a gorilla or all these other outlandish, degrading things. So the bottom line is that while it's all three, they want to chomp her confidence down so she could be like Jennifer and on mute. And with that, I'll end.
She read, and she didn't even read me, but it felt like she read the hell out of me.
She did
and
not
it ain't
come
even me she's talking about. Okay. She did not come into play. Now, what I will say is this right here. As I said, I'm not the most educated or schooled about colorism. I know Yarel has talked to me in regards to colorism, especially during the time viewing the Real Housewives of Potomac. I didn't understand it, but I think the more that I learn and hear thoughts from other people, I understand. And I remember talking to my mother maybe a couple of days ago when we were discussing the Basketball Wives. She told me that her grandmother, which is my great grandmother, was also a colorist. So when you hear someone like Tammy, who was accused of being a colorist by Mika Claxton back in season 4, which a lot of us, including myself at the time, ignored what she was saying because we simply just didn't like her. So back then, we just did not listen to what she said. But I'm older and more mature these days. Now I understand. And when people say, "Well, I'm not a colorist. My kids are dark skinned." Well, my great grandmother was deemed a colorist by my own mother, and guess what complexion her husband was? He was dark, just as dark as my phone cover. He was dark. So just because you married to a dark skinned man or you sleep with a dark skinned man, that does not make you any less colorist than anybody else.
Now, can
Go
I
ahead,
say
Erica.
something? We can get into that, how the men, it's okay for the men to be dark skinned. It's okay. But the woman, right? Because if we talk about dark skinned men, they are looked at as stronger and this and that. Light skinned men are compared to women. You're soft, you're feminine, you're too, that all of that is encompassing colorism. It goes both ways. It really does. In my family as well, all my grandmother, and all her sisters, light-skinned women, all married to very dark-skinned men, all of them. And I think part of the reason that we kind of, I don't know, ingested it and kind of went along with it is because a lot of our people were trying to assimilate to whiteness, right? To be as close to it. And so often we use it against each other, right? When I was watching when OG first came on, the first couple episodes, I was like, I know it's not colorism happening right here. I know it's not. And then as the episodes kept going, I said, oh, they're on some colorist shit. I see what's happening here. I see what's happening, especially the calling her ugly. Now, if a man came in with OG's complexion, look at Chad Ochocinco. Look at him. Okay? It's okay for the men to be dark skinned. It's okay. But the woman, no. And if she is dark skinned, now we have Jennifer and Kristen, who have the features that are more in line with, and it's so sad that we are looking at a show. And I said, I'm not reviewing it because I would not be entertained by colorism. That's not a form of entertainment for me. It riles me up. So I can't even do it. And I applaud all of y'all who are reviewing the show and talking about the show, because even watching the clips and listening to the audio that OG keeps posting to show how editing is making her look, my blood pressure rises because it's like blatant, it's in your face. And then you have these two light-skinned women. I call Evelyn light-skinned, but you have this light-skinned woman and this Puerto Rican woman telling you that's not what's happening. Like Sharon Osbourne sat across from Cheryl Underwood and said, that's not what it is. How come? Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. Tell me when I did it. Tell me when I did it. What are you talking about? You know when you did it because you called Jackie Christie's ass out on it when she was treating her dark-skinned daughter like shit, and her light-skinned favored her light-skinned daughter. It's like after a while, it's like, y'all cannot piss on our legs and tell us it's raining. We're done with it. And you're not going to sit here. And what they could have done was come out and say, you know what? We did not realize that this was happening. And instead of telling OG, tell us when it happened, tell us the scene, tell us the edit, tell us all of this, tell us when it happened. They could have said, you know what? We didn't even realize this was going on. And we apologize. And we can see now, you can step out of it and look in to see how you treated every person that was a different complexion than you. And you have to say, that's colorism. And nobody is we're not playing this game where we gotta Okay, on the day, the scene, all of that, we got to tell you when you actually did it. Oh, when did I do it? Kristen, tell me when I did it. Malaysia, tell me when I did it. No, y'all know what y'all doing. Stop playing. And I don't know if you've noticed, because I've went back and watched some of the episodes. They have a new edit of Kristen in an interview saying that she's experienced colorism from her grandmother, and that her grandmother didn't really care for dark-skinned people until she was born. Come on. Oh, now you get it? Because now you getting the backlash. And you remember being told you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl. And look at your hair. Look at your hair. Let's get into texturism too. Come on, we can talk about it, y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Come on.
Was it Tammy that said that if you were to drag or pull off OG's wig, you wouldn't know what was underneath that wig? But if you pull Chris's wig off, you know that she got pretty hair. Let's get into it. And this is somebody who OG has forgiven for the things that she said and continues to have a friendship with.
Well, I just wanted to say right quick, since we're doing the whole, obviously we're doing the colorism thing, but I do see the comments and, you know, trying to sit here and quantify this versus colorism, and even the whole colorism only being exclusive to, to dark-skinned African Americans or Africans or whatever the case may be. Let me hit y'all with just a little bit. I came with the history. So that's what I'm here for. So first and foremost, when you did, let's go back to slavery, right? You have the slave masters, sitting here doing what they doing with our African American women, producing these, mulatto children, because mulatto is a term that is still used. Now they're being, cultivated. They're go. Where are they sitting? They're in the house, what we like to call, I'm not going to use the term Negro, but house Africans. And with them, now they have this whole plight of, if I want to please my father, who was my slave master, I got to sit here and be so much more aggressive, learn what you have taught me to do against my brothers and sisters out there in the fields. So now you have this light skin or fair skin, mulatto, African American or African, person, male primarily, that's out there beating the darker skinned ones. So do you not think that the darker skins in the fields are not automatically being programmed with this thing of, okay, here's this. Now right there, that's the other side. Or how about history lesson for y'all who got y'all pens and papers down? Write down South Carolina Brown Fellowship Society. These were free slaves who were the product of their slave masters that are mulatto. They created their own secret society for those that look just like them. So you have fair skinned or light skinned Africans that were in slavery that decided to come together and create their own little secret society. Or how about New Orleans with the Blue Vein Society, Blue Vein, where for them, they had to be able to see your veins for you to even be included in this particular society. So trust me when I say colorism does work both ways. And with us, especially for the darker skinned African Americans that have these children, if there's a lighter one, y'all immediately say, oh yeah, you a P-U-S-S-Y, or oh, I'm gonna beat you more to toughen you up, or and we do this, oh, that's some light skin shit, oh, that's some dark skin shit, oh, that's this, there's that. So yes, the fair skin, light skin, they experience the same exact things because we do it to them. So when people say colorism is only against dark skinned African Americans, that is bull. It goes both ways. I'm gonna stop because again, that's enough of my history lesson. Go ahead, y'all. I'm sorry.
Can I just jump in here real quick? Can I say something, Scotty? Okay, so real quick, Yocrates, is that how you say your name? Am I saying it right? Okay, so I have something else I want to say, but I do want to jump in on how colorism goes both ways. I do agree, but we have to talk about the brutality. The brutality is way different. There is a superiority that light-skinned individuals within our community do have. It does go both ways with the jokes and the mistreatment. I absolutely agree with that, but it is the brutality that we do not have. We as dark-skinned people do not have the same power and superiority that light-skinned people do have. But it's very true that that colorism goes both ways. I did also want to respond to you saying how you don't identify as Black, you identify as African American, because Black people, African Americans are the only one who refer to themselves as Black. What I have learned and what I have been taught is that we do that as a revolt. Our entire existence is a form of protest. We stopped identifying as Negro and started to reclaim our skin tone, and we put our skin tone on our bodies and on our name by calling ourselves Black. That's where say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. All that comes from because of the one thing that we were mistreated about and still are today. We are telling the oppressor, we don't care. We love who we are. We are Black and we're proud. That's why we call ourselves Black people, African American. But I did want to address that. I also wanted to address with Erica when she was speaking of how in our community, it is fine for a Black man, or we are raised, especially as Black women, to go after a dark-skinned Black man. Why? Because dark skin means fair. Dark skin means protection. Every Black woman wants to be with a dark-skinned Black man because, you know, when he walks in a room, everybody is intimidated and afraid of him. Does not work the same way with women, because it's okay to be King Kong as a man, but you can't be King Kong as a woman. So with dark-skinned Black women, our femininity is erased from us, because when you see a Black man's dark skin, you see power, you see fair, you see strength. When you see our dark skin, you see that, but you see that in a woman you do not desire. And as somebody who has experienced all of that, I was not really able to come to terms with how I was dealing with it and how I was dealing with colorism towards other people. And there is one person in my life who actually allowed me to see it. And she also allowed me to see the xenophobia that I was doing. And it's my really good friend, Mercy, from South Africa. I had such an issue with her from the day I met her. I did not know why, but I did not like this girl. And I tried to work with her. I tried to talk to her, and me and her did not get along. And I remember one time I was driving to work and I was just like, I'm gonna get into it with this girl again. What is going on? Why can't me and, because we were the only two Black people that worked on the same shift. And I was like, why can't me and this girl get along? And then it hit me clear as day. I got a problem with this Black woman who loves herself unapologetically, especially in white spaces, because African Americans, Black Americans are not raised with that. We're raised with that in our home, but we live in a society that beats us down every day because we are that. And we know how to act in front of white people. We know what kind of harm to do to each other, but we damn sure won't do that to a white person. The way we are so brutal to each other, we are not the same way with white people. So for me, I was acting in accordance to my own safety, right? So I knew that I could get with her a certain way, but I can't get with a white person that kind of way. So when I was speaking of the brutality that we receive in the Black community from lighter people, yes, again, it goes both ways, but a lot of times light-skinned Black Americans or Black people take the space of white people, and you perpetuate the same kind of brutality. So we'll come back with the joke, right? So the light skin jokes and all of that comes out, but we won't get that same thing. Like with Chocolate, I think it's Chocolate 81, when she was speaking about how we get so much aggressive behavior towards us. A light-skinned person could be like, oh, hush, child, be quiet. A Black person, y'all gotta beat us into submission. Why is that? That not only just comes from light-skinned Black people. I want to be clear with that. I've experienced that from darker Black people as well. But I think we all have an internal issue, whether light or dark, and it is an issue that we do not talk about enough. And just like we've seen on Basketball Wives, how all the other Black women, especially the ones who was on OG's side, are now turning on her. Jen, who experienced the most brutality on this show, is now turning on OG. Why is she turning on OG? Because she has to fall in line with the popular girls, with the light girls, because that is the only way they're going to keep their check, if she shuts up and falls in line. And speaking of featureism, and I will get out of here, Kristen and Jen are acceptable. But if we look at the show before OG got on this show, who was experiencing the most brutality? Jennifer. Evelyn jumped up on the table, tried to fight her, got her assistant to smack her in the face. We saw Mika get beat up. It is the dark-skinned people. Yes, Jen, Malaysia, who's the other one? Kristen. Yes, they are not getting it the same as OG, but they do not push back like OG. They fall in line. They could never talk to Shawnee or any other woman on that show the way that Evelyn does to everybody else. Yes, they get away because of featureism and all of that, but I honestly think it's because they fell in line. All of them fell in line between, let's be real, this white woman on the show, and that is Evelyn. And Shawnee, a Black woman, has given this white woman power to abuse every cast member on this show. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Here's another thing that I wanted that's been said. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Brooke. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I can wait. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to say we have a little difference of opinion because I do not believe in any reverse colorism. I just don't. I do not. Nikki, I love you to death. I just don't think it exists because, okay, let's just, for argument's sake, if there are jokes about a lighter skinned person, it's still a favorable joke, like being told that you're stuck up or, you're really pretty. I mean, is that anything bad? If you're dark skinned, being told that you're unattractive, aggressive, manly, or just whatever craziness. I mean, it kind of pales in comparison. So I really don't have any, I really just can't get with that whole thing about reverse colorism because, there are statistics that show if it's like a darker skinned person in like a courtroom and a lighter skinned person in a courtroom, they've commit the same crime. The darker skinned person is getting a heavier sentence than the lighter skinned person. So like colorism, really does favor lighter skinned, people. So I just can't get with, I mean, yes, I'm not saying that if you're light, you haven't been the butt of the jokes, but to say it's reverse colorism, I'm like, oh, absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to just, throw my 2 cents in there about that. But
can I respond real quickly?
Yes.
I was very clear about the reverse colorism. I was speaking more of what men experience.
Oh,
and I was because women don't get that. Light-skinned women get pretty and all of that. With the men, we take away masculinity. With dark-skinned men, give them masculinity. Light-skinned men, we remove their masculinity. So that's more of what I was saying. I think the brutality mainly is amongst Black women, lighter and dark. But I gotta be honest, I see it with light-skinned men now. It's like that's taken away from them. For me, I see it and I wanted to point that out. But thank you, Brooke.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
I just want to say right quick, I'm not, like I said, this is not me doubling down on anything, but my views on this is obviously going to be a little bit different. I spent 2 years in South Korea. So being over there, I did see how the South Koreans did treat the Filipinas that were over there. And a lot of the stuff that happened there, I did see how with them, because they do have colorism stuff with them as well. And we're not going to, pretend as if there isn't African, people that are there that have the phenotypes and the genes that some of them currently do have, because that does exist. It's just, I know for me, and I want everybody to understand that everybody on this panel, we all have different views on this based off of, where we grew up, what we've seen, where we've been, and all this other stuff. So again, I'm not doubling down on nothing because again, we're just here to have a good time. But I do want to say that my views are going to be a little bit different just based off of, where I've been in the world. So that's all.
Can I say something real quick about that whole protection of white people, of what is going on with Basketball Wives? With the situation with Evelyn is very familiar to all Black people. We see Black people, Black women protecting a non-Black person and sympathizing and taking up for a white person that is clearly wrong. It is a very familiar thing that we experience as Black people. And I mean, like, people may think that I'm being extreme with that comment, but like, to me, like, it is no different than for when somebody gets shot and then they die, and you see other Black people was like, well, what did they do? And it's literally they were just walking minding their business. So it's kind of just like that reverse psychology that goes on in the Black community that was taught to us during slavery. That, you know, somebody who is lighter or non-white, there are like you're supposed to feel sorry for them. Somebody does something for you, somebody does something to you, hit you, and then turns around and cries. And then everybody is feeling sorry for that person who actually committed the act. That's a problem I have with Basketball Wives, is that they're perpetuating something that is very problematic in our community, and the fact that this is on television and people are like, oh, this is fake, this is fake. This is a very real thing that happens in our community. We are the least protected people. Dark-skinned women are the least protected people on this planet. We do not get the protections that we necessarily need from our brothers and sisters. I've been in situations where I walked in the place and somebody, you know, was aggressive towards me, and all I did was walk in the room, and everybody in that room turned against me. And I'm just like, I don't know none of you, but that person was lighter, or that person was a non-white person. The thing about it is that the fact that these people will not align themselves and hold Evelyn accountable is so mind-boggling. Jackie is one of the most disgusting people I've ever met in my life, or ever seen on this camera screen. Because number one, when she came on Basketball Wives, I didn't know she had kids. Number two, I didn't know she had a third child. I knew about the two that she had with Doug. And number three, you aligned yourself with somebody who inserted themselves in your family, brought your daughter on, and used them as ammunition. But you want to align yourself with this woman who's a non-white person against your friend, that your supposed friend that's darker, and telling you, I have you know, this is happening to me. I have this colorism issue. The problem is that OG was talking to a colorist, and most colorists cannot see that they're actually colorists, and that's the issue. And that's the issue with this cast. They don't recognize that they're perpetuating the very thing that most dark people go through within the Black community. And it's very hard to fight two fronts as a dark-skinned person. You fight in the front, you fight in one front where you're dealing with you know, white Americans or people that's outside of your race, and then you come home and you have to deal with fighting the people in your own community. And then at the same time, you have to make sure that you protect your brother, but that protection is not offered to you. So that's my biggest issue with Basketball Wives. It's the lack and the ignorance of it all, because you don't like her. And all Shawnee had to do was stay in the lane as producer. If she did not step in that position of separating OG, she wouldn't even be a part of this conversation. This wouldn't be a conversation. She wouldn't even be a part of this. We are used to Shawnee allowing bad behavior. We are used to Shawnee allowing Tammy, Jackie, Evelyn. Who else is anybody that ever committed violence? When Evelyn threw that bottle at Kenya Bell, that could have killed her. That could have caused bodily harm. And what Shawnee did, you know, I think, you know, she was a little upset. You know, no big deal. This is another dark-skinned woman that was attacked by this non-Black person. And you continue to perpetuate this behavior. It's just like, I don't even know how you don't know what you're doing at this point.
Like, even someone said in the comments, I think her name is Jer, it's OG's third season, and OG is still not in the opening credits. She wasn't even on the promo for the show as a whole, you know? You know, Layla, I want to know what's on your mind, Miss Layla Lynn. I want to know. Because I see you over
Yeah,
there.
everybody want to know, child. Because
You
the
know what,
people
you
in the
guys?
comments want you to speak, honey.
And I'm not sure whether I should jump in or if I'm waiting to be called on. So, I apologize if I'm not speaking. But I've been a little bit taken aback by just the origin of this conversation. And if I can just be honest, we're all adults here. If I can just be honest with you guys, everyone looks like they're shaking their head. When this conversation started, it seemed like it's turned into a discussion of if there is colorism on Basketball Wives. And to me, that's a little disheartening because I feel like the colorism is obvious.
Yes.
Like OG has been labeled as aggressive, okay? And the other women that have been labeled as aggressive on the show are Tammy. Tammy's been labeled as aggressive. And you could say Evelyn by people other than Shawnee. Evelyn has been labeled as aggressive. And if you look at Evelyn and Tammy, and if you look at OG is the only one that's been separated, physically separated from the other girls at a reunion. And so the only difference or the major differences between OG and Evelyn and Tammy is race. And I guess you would say nationality, with OG being Nigerian. So I feel like it's obvious that it is either xenophobia or colorism or a combination of the two and some other issues. And so to have this conversation kind of like proving, and this is something that bothers me about colorism, like proving that it's colorism, to me, it's like a little bit of, surprising to me for the conversation to be about proving that it's colorism. And I guess because it's my opinion that it's obvious that it's colorism. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, and just to speak on my end, the reason why I started it that way is because it's pretty clear that most of us, if not all of us, think that it is colorism. But there are people out there that seem to not think that it is. So the only reason why I started the
Right. That's what I'm
conversation out the way
referring
that I
to.
did is for us to,
Not even you,
yeah,
Scotty.
yeah.
I'm not
So,
even referring to you.
okay, I just wanted to make sure now.
Yeah, and
I
it's
ain't
no,
want to get, I
issue
ain't
where
want to get dragged.
I don't be dragging people, and you know that. I don't drag people. But I wasn't referring to you, but I was just surprised, that's the turn that the conversation took. But if that's what it is, that's what it is.
But I will say this though. This is what I was saying before. Um, what do you guys? The main thing that really like agitates me about this whole conversation and this whole issue at hand is that when people talk about OG, they say different things, which could go for everybody, but they say different things. The first thing they criticize her for is she has a stank attitude. But yet you got Tammy and Evelyn and Jennifer who have been praised for their said stank attitudes. But yet OG is criticized for her quote unquote stank attitude. Or maybe it's because she's unlikable. Evelyn is not likable, never has been likable. Shani is definitely not likable, but they get a pass. Um, OG is aggressive. OG's never hit anyone. Evelyn hit Jennifer with a clutch purse. She hopped over a table at wine bottle at Kenyaville. Tammy mushed Mika in the face. Um, Tammy straight up berated Keisha in Tahiti. And even though Jennifer and Shawnee have not necessarily been aggressive, but they were passive aggressive with their bully tactics. There's people don't realize that there's a different type of bully. You have a boisterous bully, and then you have a passive aggressive bully. Um, Another thing is, or maybe they just don't like OG because she's ugly. Whether you think she's not desirable or not, that's not an excuse for her to be treated a certain type of way. Like the main thing that really bothers me with this whole thing is that everybody buys everybody else's behavior on the show, but yet it's pretty clear that OG was treated differently, being that she was quote unquote aggressive, but everybody else on the never secluded from the rest of the cast on the reunion. So I want y'all views on that because all I keep hearing is, well, they just don't like her, or she just ugly, or she just unlikable. But that's not a good enough reason to malign someone when all these same characteristics that she's being accused of, the rest of them have the same characteristics, but they're praised for it. So regardless of whether they think it's colorism or not, they're going right into the whole colorism thing where you're praising a lighter skinned woman for being, quote unquote, when Evelyn is aggressive, she's feisty,
Violent.
she's saucy, she's this,
Violent.
she's
She's
that.
violent.
But
She's violent.
yeah, right. They want to say she's saucy, she's violent. But when OG does it, she's aggressive, she's violent. But go ahead. Y'all can piggyback off of me on that.
Can I jump in really quickly? No one wants to admit that they're racist. No one wants to admit that they're prejudiced, and no one is going to admit that they're colorist. So what they do is they kind of reverse engineer it. So they begin to examine OG and pick out things. Oh, she's arrogant. Oh, she has a nasty attitude. And they begin to pick out things that obviously aren't there to create an excuse that gives them a foundation to say why she's deserving of this behavior. When it boils down to it, they're colorists, but no one is going to admit that. They rather lie on someone and manufacture characteristics about someone than admit to themselves that they are a colorist and that they just don't like her because she has a deeper skin tone. So that's why you are seeing all of these excuses, even as far as, and I talked about it in my video, where they were like, well, if OG just wore her hair differently, or if she just wore her clothes this way, she would look better. We never say that about a light-skinned person or woman. Matter of fact, how many times have you heard a light-skinned, well, if you just wore your hair this way, you would be prettier, or maybe you should wear this instead of that. That reverse engineer process is to prevent them from admitting to themselves and looking at the man or woman in the mirror and saying, I'm a colorist. That's all that it is.
I just want to say that they're doing that not because they see what the actual issue is. They see they don't care. They're trying to get OG to say what happened did not happen because OG is going to get the show canceled, right? So they want to have her sit down and say, oh, it's not what it is. Treat her kind. She's crying. Let me pet her back and let her know that I'm actually here for her. But I really want her to say it's not what it is. So when OG calls it out, they want to send the dry boot sisters, them twins, in to try to like make it seem like she is actually the problem. Because if they admit it, then that affects them just how it affects a white person or a non-Black person when they are found out to be racist. This is like Malaysia said, it's ruining lives. That means it's messing up my money. OG is messing up the money by not saying what happened to me didn't happen to me, that there isn't colorism. There would be like a 15 or 12 episode season if OG said the first day in the house, what happened to me didn't happen to me. But she can see the game for what it is. And because she will not back down from it, they create all of these lies and edits and all of this stuff about her. Even in this current episode, we saw when Phoebe sat down, or Febreze, whatever y'all call her, when she sat down with the dry boot twins, they were telling her what happened, right? But remember, when she was saying what happened, the lead dry boot twin, they took off her audio. They got her off camera. And all of a sudden, we heard this audio of her saying what happened. The reason why they did that, and it's called the Frankenbite. What they do is they take audio from something somewhere else, or maybe a voiceover, and they put it over the scene. So what they did was, because that girl did not say that OG had a friend and she wanted me to come on the show, they took a voiceover from the lead dry boot twin and put it over the scene so that it could look like she said that OG did all of this, because she did not say that in the beginning. They are trying to paint this woman as an awful person because at the end of the episode, when Jackie fired her from the show, they want to justify it because they don't want to deal with the colorism, because even if they bring somebody in to heal, like, I don't know, a therapist or whatever, and the ladies admit that, they're still going to have to walk around and try to broker deals and all of this with the fact that they were on show being colorist to somebody. So they don't want to admit it. They want to sabotage the girl. They want to make her look crazy, because if they say yes to anything, it messes up the money. That's all it's about. They don't care nothing about that woman. They know that they're colorists. They know they date men who do that. They marry men who do that. They know that they were picked because of the grade of their hair. They know they were picked because of the color of their skin. They get it. They don't want to change it because it keeps them wealthy. So they don't even care about that girl. It's all about the money with them, bro. It's all about the money.
Right. That's what I was going to say. They don't say anything because they benefit from that. Why would I say anything? I actually benefit from this. I'm not going to say anything to ruin it. I'm not going to say that I'm actually, doing this to this woman. Why should I? I've benefited my whole life from this. You know what I mean? I don't know what the resolve would be. What would be the resolve in terms
That's what I would like to know.
Yeah, what would be the resolve is for them to, because nobody's gonna say, yeah, I'm colorist. Yeah, I called her ugly. And that's why even when Evelyn was like, what? Ocho Cinco wanted you? Yeah, right. There's no way in the world he would want somebody to look like you. Cause he likes me. I done fucked him. What did she tell? I done did all of this thing. Remember that? And now it's like, well,
all I'm gonna say is this: OG gave us the line of all lines last season. I'm your favorite athlete.
Yes, favorite athlete. Yes. And that's it's what can they say? They're not going to say anything because they couldn't believe themselves that this woman was attractive to someone that actually, and the fact that OG set on that for as long as she did, because she knew it in the first season. The producers knew it. And for just at the right opportune moment, this woman is calling you unattractive. Your nigga wanted me. Sorry, I had to say it. That's how I have to say it. I'm just going to say it how it is.
Oh, just wanted me.
Look, on the show, we're not going to get resolved. We already know why, because that is a money-making machine owned by white people. Let's be honest at the top of it. So it benefited them to try and find their own resolve, tell their own narrative. But as my intention on being this panel, how can we find resolve as a culture, as a people? Because colorism, we already know, exists across the board in many different cultures. But how do we get some sort of resolve? Because not only are we dealing with colorism, we're dealing with racism.
I think calling it out. I think calling it as we see it, and not allowing other people to gaslight the situation, say that that's not what it is. And I think part of that, but another part is taking resources so that they're not able to produce shows like this, saying, hey, we're not entertained by this. We're not watching it. I think they saw that. I think they saw the decline in 50% of the viewership is gone, and it keeps declining. Now, I'm watching the ratings too, because quite as kept, I want it to be canceled. I want them to say no advertisers will advertise during the show. We're going to have to scrap Basketball Wives, and you're not going to be allowed to make money while you are discriminating against this woman on the show. That's not. We cannot allow them to entertain us with that. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. And that's the only resolve that I can think of is pulling resources. That means ads, and that means the money. I can't produce without the money. And if I take your money, your viewership, your audience away, nobody wants to watch it. They're going to be selling tummy tea and waist trainers.
I just want to just speaking back right quick, because I'm not going to be here long, but in addition to what Erica said, I also feel that we need to listen to understand when we have these conversations, because so often we're not listening, but we're hearing to respond. As soon as somebody says something we don't agree with, is let me antagonize you. So I think in addition to calling it out, I think when we have these honest conversations between different parties, we really need to listen, understand, hear what's being said to us, process it, and then respond.
I think that we should start with working with those who are open to heal those wounds, those people who are willing to have that open conversation and to be vulnerable. The thing about it is with our community, we don't know how to really talk. We don't believe in therapy. We don't believe in talking about our problems. We just don't find constructive ways to really understand other people's perspective. But I think that the best way to go about it is to work on those who are willing to have the conversation first, because people have to open their hearts. And hopefully those people who you wouldn't think want that conversation can open the doors for other people to get comfortable with having this conversation. But we have to get to a place where we're willing to heal, where we're willing to address, and we're willing to look in the mirror and say, you know what, this is something that is problematic, and these are behaviors that I practice. I actually, and I'm in the process of taking the class, and one of the things that I just studied this week was the act of being an anti-racist. And the very definition of being an anti-racist is the willingness to accept your own prejudice, the willingness to talk about and say, yes, I had these assumptions, or I had these stereotypical ideas about this particular person, this particular group. And that's the only way that you can get to the point where you're truly anti-racist, is admittance, open, like, hey, you use yourself first. So instead of going and attacking a person and telling them that that's who they are, have the conversation about you first. And then people will get more comfortable. So I think it's very important that we give people the opportunity that wants to heal, that wants to learn, that wants to be open, that we give them the platform to just do that.
I just wanted to be quick, but I think that it also starts with just more positive representation of darker skinned, women, especially. And I mean, these folks in control, they have the power to uplift and put more of the Ryan Destinies and Normani's, but they purposely are choosing not to. I mean, no shade to a lot of these new girls. I'm not going to say that they're not talented, but, we're seeing a lot of, mixed and very light-skinned women pushed to the forefront when we have some beautiful dark-skinned girls, in the singing and acting, and they're really killing it, but they're not getting that shine. I think that Ryan Destiny should be a lot further than she is. So that's a beautiful girl. She's stunning and she's so talented. And if we can just see more positive representation, also when it comes to the music, like, I like a lot of these rappers too, but some of their lyrics, when you really do listen to some of those songs, it's like, wait a second, they just said what? Like, they're saying, I like a red bone, or, and like, you're sitting there bobbing to it. And it's like, wait a second, like what? Like, if I saw them in the club, they would probably just, they wouldn't even, look my way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we need to be more diligent in not supporting people who are colorist as well. Like it all just starts with like everybody as a collective being more mindful and just being like, okay, this person is a colorist. You know what? Let's not really give them a platform. Let's have their coins dry up. Like Erica said, let's have them selling flat tummy teas and struggling on how they're going to pay their American Express bill each month. And you know what I'm saying? I think that if we really cut off a lot of these people, at the wallet, a lot of this stuff would cease. But because we're all still supporting it and we're all like, yeah, yes, you know what I'm saying? It's not stopping anything, but we need to hit them where it hurts and hit, you know what? You can't go to Neiman Marcus this month, coins dried up. The fans aren't having it. How you going to pay this, Lambo truck, car note? It ain't going to happen because we're not supporting it no more.
So do you think there is going to be a difference? Like Erica was saying, how the ratings are down this season, like half the people who usually watch it are watching it this season. So do you think there is going to be a difference, next season? Do you think it's actually going to make an impact?
I think so.
You think so?
The fact that we were able to get their ratings down from like 800,000, which is still really low, we got it down to like, I think it was like 200,000. Erica, I was looking at your tweets and you said it got down to like 200,000, and that's like abysmal.
It's real low.
Yeah.
I'm shocked they have another season coming.
Yeah, I just think that we're going to see some change. I really do.
Yeah, I can't imagine them having a season. Like, who is actually paying for the ads? Like,
Yep.
that where is that coming from? And with all the backlash that's happening, because while there's some people who are denying it, there's a host of people that are saying this is what's happening on this show and we're tired of it.
Yep.
And with historical references throughout every season. Also, I think one thing that drives a lot of the approach is the fact that, here I go, the desirability
Go ahead, girl.
of men being the center of how they are operating, right?
Yes.
This doesn't have anything to do with sisterhood. This doesn't have anything to do with even womanhood. This has to do with whether somebody was attractive to another man. And that's why they're basing it, because them as a group, right? That's how they're, like you said, Brooke, that's how they get their stuff. They get their it comes from the attention of men. Am I desirable? That's why I'm so shocked that he actually liked you. I can't believe it. You know what I mean? I don't know how next season, I don't know how anybody, unless they come, I don't know how they could salvage this. There's nothing that you can really do. And I think everybody is so turned off by each individual character from the way that they responded to OG. It's just like, I don't want to support Shawnee, Evelyn, Malaysia. Who else? I mean, all of these people, why would they even, I don't even understand how they could come back or even be considered for a next season with ratings like Tardy for the Party.
Yes.
That's the kind of ratings they have.
But is Tardy for the Party canceled? Is that show canceled?
No, because
I don't think it is.
Yeah, because they have an audience. They have an audience, Layla. They do. They have the throwaway wannabe Kardashian audience.
I know what you was about to say. I know what you was about to say.
Yeah, and that's Basketball Wives too. That girl that is looking for the basketball player. But I don't even think that they're operating in that theme anymore. They're all older children. They're even out of the market, like Evelyn girl.
You also have to remember that it's different networks, different budgets, different favoritism as well.
Yeah, and I don't see how they could survive another season. I don't see it myself.
You can. It's like weird. Like, how do you go from this to like, okay, let's go shopping and chop it up? You can't do that.
I was glad to hear that there possibly was going to be another season, to be honest with you.
Can I add that I don't know if you all remember the show Sorority Sisters that came on VH1 a few years ago. I believe in organizing, and I believe in advocating, and I believe in writing letters, calling things of that nature. The reason why Sorority Sisters only lasted this long was because all of the D9 got behind it and sent them, well, part of it was legal with cease and desist letters, but the other was because they rallied as an organization, as a collective, and did not watch the show and also threaten the sponsors. So if Basketball Wives is going to be on for a 10th season, I believe, what needs to happen is some of these organizations, these Black organizations that are for our community, need to start writing letters, because many of them right now, I don't know if a lot of you know, a lot of businesses are focusing on diversity and inclusion, and nobody wants to be the racist. Nobody wants to be the colorist. So what you do is you target those ads, those commercials you see running during the episode, and these organizations need to start writing them, calling them. Many of these organizations, these people work for these companies, so they have a voice. So if you really want to see it taken off, you have to hit them, as everyone else was saying, where it hurts, which is in their dollars. So you have to, there can be grassroots movements. I'm all for that. But these organizations, that Black organizations, Black women organizations, they need to stand up and start writing, start saying, like, we're not gonna partner with you. We don't want to sponsor you. You have to hit them where it hurts, and you'll see a change.
And contrary canary to also piggyback off that, y'all have to learn y'all history. Real talk. And I'm gonna give y'all this. The Montgomery bus cop movie, where all of the African Americans banded together and said, we will not ride these buses. We will sit here and walk the soles off our shoes to get to work. And I think it took a little bit over a year before they crippled that system, before something had to happen. The same exact thing with this. Now, we showed them this season because Vashandria Master Splinter Nostrils O'Neil decided to tell us that we were too invested in her particular product. And what happened? You went from seeing 1 million views, now you're down to 200. So if we just apply a little bit, stop laughing at me, y'all. Stop it. But if we apply just a little bit more pressure, the show will be off the air.
To piggyback off of both of y'all's points, this reminds me of when Potomac was in production. It was not supposed to be a Real Housewives franchise. It was originally supposed to be the Potomac Ensemble about Jack and Jill mothers. And Jack and Jill was like, oh, absolutely not. You are not going to be exposing us. And as a former Jack and Jiller myself, yeah, I got stories. Okay, dark skin girl and Jack and Jill. We could talk about that a whole nother day, but I digress. But you know, the way that the president of Jack and Jill said, oh, absolutely not. You better turn this show into something else because it will not be about Jack and Jill. And we, like you all both said, we need to do the same thing as well with Basketball Wives and get them off the air permanently.
I think it also, one thing very important about that is that we, even if we do all of those things, right, it just may not be canceled for two reasons. One, our community is very divided about this. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to admit it. We are the community that brush a lot of things under the rug, but we can see racism. We can see colorism. And also, we don't know what contract that Shawnee has with the network. So sometimes the show is not doing well and it's still performing, or it's still on air, but it's probably still on air because they have a certain amount of contracts in their season. So it's better to let your contract play out than try to cancel your show and be up in court with all of this stuff. So even if they come back with another season, it could most certainly be their last season, but it all depends on what kind of contract she had, because they're calling it real early that they got another season. I'm like, that's probably in the contract, a 10th and final season. Because from what I've seen, I can't see them coming back. Oh, I'm sorry. What happened?
No, I was just saying, somebody in the comments said it's going to end up on Zeus Network.
Listen, I think that if it does come back for a 10th season, I think it will be it. So.
They need to dry their funds up. I don't want to see another season. I'm sorry. Can't be bothered. Just take their money.
And what do you think is going to happen with OG? Like, because with her dropping these unedited clips, someone, she either did it herself or someone gave it to her.
I think she has approval because I've been trying to catch up on the show because I wasn't really interested. And when I watch the show, you do see her with her phone in her hand.
Oh,
she definitely recording her phone.
They see her. Yeah, they see her.
She has two phones.
Yeah, they see her with her phone. Yeah.
Okay. Because I would think, I'm hoping that that's not going to, I mean, would she get in trouble for that? You know what I'm saying? Like, would they do something to, I mean, what could they do? I mean, I don't know. I just think it's amazing how they're really, and then so many people are really taking the edit and really just ingesting it like that's what it is. They're making OG, I can't believe she has such a bad attitude and this and this and that. And it's like, aren't you listening to the unedited version? She's literally showing you that that is not what's happening. To Kempire's point at the very beginning of this broadcast, it's like we're going off of highly edited programming. You know what I mean? And it's like
keyword programming.
Yeah. And we're looking at that, and there's so many people who are just like, no, that's not what's happening. And I think, one thing is, like, we do have to acknowledge our unconscious biases ourselves, like why we jump and treat people a certain way, or why we feel like OG had to cry in order for someone to see her as a human. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just confusing me how people are just like completely like, no, that's it's like, I just don't understand. I get confused every time. And it's like, then you end up arguing with people. And it's like, why am I arguing with you when I know, like to Layla's point, this is what it is. And there's no other way around it. So what do we do to, fight against that? Because there's so many people who are not on the same level. Everybody's, we're all on different levels of consciousness. So some people may not even realize, literally, legitimately not even realize that, oh, I wasn't nice to her because she was a different complexion, and taking that because maybe Evelyn is not like I'm getting the privilege of it, but when do you actually say I was being colorist? I really call this girl a monkey. Like I really put a monkey emoji. When do you actually, because everything that's happening, listen, everything that's happening, that doesn't take away the fact of what Evelyn did to her. Like whatever's happening this season, let's talk about what Evelyn did instead of trying to get OG to tell us everything that's going on. This is colorism and this is colorism. When did I do that? When did I do that? Let's not go away from the fact that this woman said what she said, used the monkey emoji or to describe a person, called her ugly, called her dirty, and her just be there like, I'm the victim, I'm gonna sue her now. What?
Really?
And that's just classic, right?
I just want to say this, and this has nothing to do with the panel per se, but for those in the comments, can y'all please stop bringing up other YouTubers in the chat and trying to sit here and cause division? I do have a wrench.
It makes me uncomfortable.
No, like I do have a wrench, and I will come in and I will snipe. So this is me speaking on behalf of Scotty. Let's dead that right now, and let's stop bringing other YouTubers into this, and let's stop trying to cause division amongst each other. Everybody continue.
Can I piggyback on what Erica said? We forgot to mention the fact that she used her abuser as evidence. This woman had went across the world, created an organization, made money publicly speaking about getting abused by this man, and then she calls the very man that bust her in the face and gave her stitches in her head. And what was the response from everybody? Well, she's not getting with him, so I don't think anything's wrong with it. When are we going to stop? When are we going to get to a place where we stop giving these types of behaviors passes? Evelyn made a whole career. She was able to leave Basketball Wives, get her own show because of that abuse. They create a own lane, get money off of the very back of a black man. And I believe every single word that Teeny said about that situation, that they were fighting each other. And Chad, knowing that nobody's going to be on his side, regardless of how the conversation went, remained silent and took that hit, just like a lot of black people are so used to. I don't know anybody who can go on the screen and bring their abuser and into a conversation, and then he played you like a dummy because he lied to you. He lied to you. He didn't even give you the whole receipt, and OG was able to destroy her because of your own arrogance and stupidity. You went into your abuser. Look how dumb this man made you look. Look how dumb you are. And I'm just doing that.
I don't have anything to say towards that. But
Right.
what I will say, the reason why I believe, and I'm just, thinking like TV wise, the reason why OG was able to use her audio is because if we all watched the last episode of Basketball Wives, Jackie telling her to leave is a firing. So she was let go from the show. So OG will not be back next season. So if you're no longer a part of that contract, you fulfilled that contract for that season. So now everything that happens after that, they cannot hold you into that because you're no longer an employee with VH1. So I think that's why she has the privilege to be able to do that. And also, if the network is smart, they're not going to come after her, especially a cast member who in this day and age is saying that she not only experienced racism from the non-Black cast member, white. I know some people had a problem with me calling Evelyn white. That's the white woman. I know she Afro-Latina today because she wanted to say the N-word and beat up on OG. That's the white woman. And also because, Layla, yes?
No, I was just saying she is not Afro-Latina.
Yeah.
She's not. She's not.
Yeah, and also experiencing colorism. The network don't want to get into those murky waters, so let OG do whatever she wants to do. But she's no longer employed with that with the company, and that's unfortunate.
Okay.
My bad.
No, go ahead, because I forgot what I was gonna say anyway. So go ahead, Layla.
Okay, so I'm not Hispanic, but I've watched and I read like Latina magazine. Like I just be looking at what everybody got to say, and I've seen other Hispanic women say that there's a difference. Like when you have an ancestor that's Black, but you don't present as Black, like you're not having a Black experience. There is a difference between that and being an Afro-Latina that is having a Black experience, like you present in the world as Black. And so I just want to say, I've seen Hispanic women, I've seen people in the Latinx community say that it's not okay for women like Evelyn Lozada to claim to be Afro-Latina when that is not the experience that they're having. I just want to say, I've seen them say that it's not okay. It's not just Black women saying it's not okay. It's also, well, let me rephrase this better. It's not just Black women who are not of of Hispanic, ethnicity saying that it's not okay. It's also Afro-Latina women saying that it's not okay for Evelyn Lozada and people like her to say that they're Afro-Latina when they're not having that experience.
I'll just say that in general, as she came on the show saying that, acknowledging both parts, if you will, almost like a Amara La Negra, I will be okay with it, but she never did. And it wasn't until she caught backlash last season that in her confessionals and then at the reunion, because the confessional is shot after the fact, that she's now Afro-Latina. So as she came on acknowledging the fact that, yes, I'm Puerto Rican, and within Puerto Rican, there is some African ancestry, but I'm also African on this tip, and she literally rallies behind both. I think most people wouldn't have cared, but because that's not how you showed up on this television, and now you want to sit here
and in the world. That's not how you show up in the world.
That too.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. It makes a difference. There's a difference between Evelyn Lozada and someone even like Jocelyn. I know a lot of people are saying Amara La Negra as well, but there's a difference. And in that physical difference, there's also a different experience you're having socially in the world. I think it's okay to address that. Like if you look like a white woman, like Sofia Vergara, if you look like a white woman, a lot of times that affects the experience that you're having in the world.
Well, I guess I thought Erica was talking. Oh, well, what I can say is I think it's good to have these conversations, to be honest, which is why I decided to bring us all together to discuss it, because there's a lot of things that I myself was ignorant to, and to have people that are way more educated on it helps not only me, but it can help other people. Like that's why I'm only here to moderate. I add what I need to add to the conversation, but you guys are way more advanced in this than I am, and I really appreciate it because it needs to be said. Honestly, like um, I just feel like at the end of the day, people don't want to see what's right in front of them, mainly because of who they like, and people can't see past their dislikes. And all I say is, what I don't like about this whole thing is that I don't know what it is, but Basketball Wives has always been a problematic reality show, and I'm really just now realizing it as time goes on. It's always been very problematic. It's always been, built on bullying. And I think the biggest thing about me is that being someone that has been bullied in the past in high school and middle school and all of this other stuff, things like that trigger me because your bullies could gaslight you and make you feel as though they didn't do anything to you when you know that they did. And OGs pretty much put in that same position. The mean girls tried to bully her, and when she called them out on what they were doing, they retreated, gaslit her, and made her look like, you know, she was a liar and she was this. And one thing I can say about OG is that she's very smart because if she did not have those recordings, nobody, people will continue to doubt her if she have the recordings. But even still, she has the recordings, and people still want to deny what she's putting there. It's pretty clear that Shawnee and company are making her look some kind of way to minimize her experience. And my biggest thing is whether you agree with it being colorism or not, if a person says that's what they experience, that's what they experience. You can't take someone else's experience away from them. If that's what they experience, that's what they experience. Who are we to say that, you know what I'm saying, she didn't experience that? You know what I mean? You know, whether you understand it or not, because I was a person who didn't understand colorism, but I never could say that that didn't happen to her. That didn't happen to her. That's just like me, just like a woman walking up to me saying that she was in, you know, just like how K. Michelle came to Rashida and said that she was abused by a man. She didn't know what the situation was. She said that didn't happen to you. That's the worst thing a person can tell you is that something didn't happen to you when you know that it happened to you. You know what I mean? So that's the main thing that I take out of this conversation. Um, Looks like we went 10 minutes above what we said we were gonna stop at. But at the end of the day, I do appreciate everybody that came up here, all the 800 people that viewed this. If anybody has any closing remarks, I'm gonna allow each of you to have those, and then we're gonna be up out of here. So we'll start off with Layla Lynn. Any closing remarks?
Oh my God, I was just about to say, don't ask me first. My closing remarks. Can I take a survey for my closing remarks? Because when we started this conversation, it seemed like the panel was split on is this colorism? And I'm not just saying just colorism. Obviously, it's complex. It's not just colorism. You know, xenophobia. It's a whole lot of things mixed together. But for my closing remarks, can I take a survey of who thinks it's colorism and who is on the fence? Is that okay? Okay, I can't hear anymore.
It's definitely colorism, Layla.
It's colorism.
It's colorism.
Oh, raise your hand if you think it's colorism.
Both hands.
Okay. Okay. So nobody's on the fence anymore?
I'm no longer on the fence. But you know what? I'll just say this as my closing remarks. I'm sorry to skip everyone. I apologize in advance. The only reason why I'm saying this now, and this is part of my intention when I came to do this, was to learn, listen, and be open to being wrong. And based on the conversations that we had here, and even reading some of the comments, look, and I've said this multiple times, the same as Scotty just said, I never wanted to deny what OG experienced, because like I said before, to base my opinion on what we're seeing on television, especially when it's heavily produced and cut out and everything like that, and especially if I'm not watching this chapter and verse either. There have been episodes and seasons I fell out and I haven't watched. So I'm just thankful to have this conversation with all of you guys and be open to being wrong and learn something, most importantly. And I think that's one of the best things that we can do as a people, and to find some sort of unity, is by being able to say, you know what, I was wrong for thinking that. And I was wrong for not educating myself a little bit more on the topic, because I didn't have to wait to come here to learn from the experience. But I'm glad I did, because I got to see all of you guys and make friends with all of you. But thank you.
Go ahead, Erica.
I was about to get in the comments. Thank you, Scotty, so much for having this panel on your platform, and everyone in the comments. I am loving this conversation, and I'm just so happy to be a part of it, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So thank you very much for including me in the conversation. And I love all of you guys. I watch all of you guys. I'm subscribed to all y'all. I love y'all. I'm supported. Just I'll be like, Layla.
That means so much to me, Erica.
Listen, I told my son today, I said, and my son was like, oh, and you're going to be on there with the Brooke Ashley? I was like, yes. Yeah, so I'm honored to be here, and thank you guys. And I love the conversation. I'm here for it.
Go ahead, Brooke.
This was amazing. Like I had a ball. Okay, this was great conversation. It was much needed. I was like looking at the comments. Y'all were great in the comments because you always get a little bit nervous when you go on live. You don't know what's gonna, someone say something crazy. You're just like, okay, but you guys were fabulous. Everything was amazing. I'm subscribed to all of y'all. I love y'all. This was just amazing. Scotty, let's do this again, please. This was great. Like, this was so just great. I had a great time. This was great.
I'm all for it. I am all for it. Okay. Y'all real? Go ahead.
Okay, so first, I guess the term is fangirling out. So I was happy to be up here with Erica. I love me some Erica. Trust me when I say. I mean, I watch everything from her. I love her down, really do. But outside of that, Layla, I know with the whole was it colorism. I just wanted to say from my standpoint, I've always said it was colorism, but I was trying to attack it from, I guess that other vantage point of how people love to pick holes into, well, is it really this? Is it really that? So I was trying to go into it from that perspective of people love to try to pick something as a, well, is it really colorism? Is it really?
Yeah, I picked that up after a while. It took a while. It took about 10, 20 minutes for me to get that you were playing both sides of the fence. But I got you. But it did surprise me at first, but I got you.
And like I said, my name is Yocrates, a play on Socrates. So look, y'all, the unreflected life is not worth living. Take this time, especially after this panel, to reflect on what we talked about. Do your due diligence and do some research and be willing to accept the harsh truths of what exists within part of our history. Because trust me, slavery is not our history. We have more before that. That is just merely a segment. But when you learn that and you can internalize it and be willing to have these tough conversations, remember, listen to understand, don't hear to respond. And I love you all.
All right. Contrary Canary, let's hear your closing thoughts.
But first of all, thank you, Scotty, for having me. And shout out to all the panel. I'm just so honored to be a part amongst great individuals who are obviously intellectuals and take these topics so seriously. Like a lot of people complain about social media and some of the junk that's on there, but it's panels like these that people are missing out on. And I really do. I agree with Brooke and everyone else. We need to have these type of panels more because there's so many more layers that we can pull back. But I will close out with this, to my Black brothers and sisters, we have a lot of power. And a lot of times we underestimate our power. We can control this, right? Because we know that the Black dollar goes further in where white communities and white companies and white organizations. We need to come together and start demanding that people treat us right. Otherwise, we will go elsewhere. And we also need to funnel that into our own communities. Like outside this, I'm a complete activist for the Black community. But what I will say is this: if you don't want shows like Basketball Wives to exist, then we have to come together and pull away their money and their funding. We can do it, but we have to come together. I know everybody's not a protester, everybody's not an organizer, but brick by brick, layer by layer, we can do it. We can get these things removed. We can have Shawnee on her knees begging us to watch Basketball Wives. We don't understand the power that we have, and we have to realize that we have it. And we have to stand up and stop kneeling down and allowing people to basically crap on us. Or like Erica said, you're peeing on me and telling me, as my father would say, actually, you're peeing on me and telling me it's sweet milk. That's what he would say instead of raining outside. So recognize the power that we have. And the more we have these panels, I want you all to feel empowered and to feel like you can accomplish anything out there. Get these people off of TV and stop playing with me. Good night. Love you all.
All right. All right. Come on, Chocolate Beauty 81. Let's give your closing thoughts.
I would like to take this time out to really thank you for bringing me on this panel. I'm new to this game, and I appreciate that I am amongst great people, YouTubers that's been vetted for a few years. I appreciate you taking a chance on me, Scotty. I know you could have picked somebody else, but thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I really do appreciate it. I want to say to our community, we have to get to a place where we can find some healing through in this time. We are strong enough to fight both fronts, meaning working on making sure that we work on the injustices that's happening to our people and at the same time heal. So I just hope that everybody is open to doing both and recognizing that we do have an issue in our community and that we do need to work on being better to one another. So I thank you so much. I think I already follow everybody on here. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chocolate Beauty. Kim Pie already skipped all over y'all, so I ain't finna go to him. Nikki Star. Last but not least, let's talk about your closing remarks, and then we're gonna be out the door.
All right. So thank you. Thank you, Scotty. And thank you everybody on this panel. This is a good time. This was a really good time because part of being a dark-skinned person, especially a Black woman, is when you express your pain or what somebody who you love is doing to you, there's always like this feeling, because I don't know if the other Black women in this chat were feeling it, but I was feeling some sort of way because there was a part of me that was just like, no, don't say it, right? Don't say that. Don't tell your truth because you don't want to harm your community. And that just comes with dealing with that for so long and dealing with increased aggression towards me because of the deepness of my melanin. But I'm glad that we all spoke and we were very truthful and honest. I said some things, I'm gonna watch this back and be like, oh Lord, but it is what it is. I really just want to say to my community that I hope we all listen, even if we feel like because sometimes when somebody tells you something and you feel a little way in yourself, a lot of times that's hitting your pride, right? And we all, like, for me as a dark-skinned person, I'm talking to my family. I'm telling you this is hurting me because I want this to be fixed, because we got a greater battle to fight outside of this. So this whole panel, whether people disagreed or agreed with us, just know this is all love. We want this to be fixed, to be healed. We don't want to keep on staying on these different sides of whatever battle we're fighting daily as a people. So for me, and I know for everybody else, we all spoke from the heart because we want this. This is a problem, guys. I'm telling you, it's a problem. We got to fix this. I love everybody here on the panel, in the chat, even if I don't know you. I love you. And I hope that we take something from this and we change our communities around us, because it's an issue. And from somebody who experiences it all the time, I'm tired of dealing with it. I'm tired of being silent. I hope we can fix it because I love us and I think we can do it. Love y'all. Thank you again, Scotty.
No problem. I just want to close it out with this right here. No problem, no problem. I just want to close it out. I want to close it out by saying this. First of all, all hails to Layla Lynn. First of all, I know everybody on this channel watch her stuff. I know everybody up here does. Everybody in the chat probably watch her stuff. Everybody. And she was one of the first people I thought of to come on this panel. One of the first, besides Erica and Brooke, she was one of the first people that I wanted to choose, and I chose this panel very carefully. So shout out to Layla Lynn for joining me for this. Erica,
Thank
I've
you.
been watching Erica for years. I've known Erica for years. I've been following her for years, and I know what she gives, and I knew what she gives will be good for this panel. So thank you for even agreeing to doing it.
You're
I'm
welcome.
appreciative of that.
You're welcome.
Brooke, um, I got into you doing the Real Housewives of Potomac, and whether or not I agreed with what our opinions may have differed on certain topics, but even then, I still enjoyed you, your spirit, and your commentary. So I really appreciate you for coming on. Even after I watched your very first Potomac video, I've always wanted to work with you. I always wanted to have you on the panel as well as Erica, and I'm glad that I finally got that together. And on top of that, the people that watch me have wanted you and Erica to be on a panel with me for the longest. So I'm glad that I was able to give them that, and not only give them that, but give myself that. So thank you so much, Brooke, for coming up here and gracing me and my people with your presence. Thank you for that. um, y'all, listen, we fight all the time, but everybody knows that I love you like my big brother. And I'm very appreciative of you coming up here with me outside of the panel that we normally do together. And you are a walking history book. So I knew that you would be needed for this as well. Contrary Canary, I also found your videos during Potomac. And when I say you read the shit out of Ashley Darby on one video, I think I found you because Erica De Niro posted a clip of it and you went the hell in on her. And I'm like, wait a minute. Let me tune in. Let me tune in. And I was to know that you even knew about me to begin with. I was very surprised that you even knew me, even watched my stuff. So that's another thing. I'm always surprised when other YouTubers tell me that they watch me. That's always surprising. So thank you for coming on, Country or Canary. Chocolate Beauty 81, I took a chance on you. You are a new YouTuber. I found you during the Chasing Reality saga, and I always saw your promo, and I know that you was watching my stuff, and I know you had strong opinions about this. And I'm the type of person that always want to work with people, whether they're YouTuber or a bigger YouTuber. I always want to give everybody a chance to speak their truth and everybody a chance to be seen. Because sometimes smaller YouTubers won't be seen unless somebody gives them a platform to be seen. So I wanted to be able to give you that chance to be seen and also give you that chance to speak your truth and to let everybody else see your spirit the same way that I saw it. So I appreciate you for coming on. Kempire TV, Kempire Radio, I'm sorry. No problem. Kempire, I've been listening to you for the longest. You give great interviews. I knew that you had somewhat opposing view on this on my last panel, and I felt as though maybe he should come up here so maybe he could get some knowledge from the rest of the people up here because everybody can teach everybody something. We don't know everything, but somebody can teach us something. So I appreciate for coming up here, and you may need to give me some tips on how to approach some of these people for interviews and stuff because that's what I'm trying to get into at this point. So you might have to give me some tips on that. Uh huh. Nikki Star. Um, I'm also happy that you came on because you know that I found you last on was it season 8 of Basketball Wives. That's when I first saw you, and I enjoyed your videos then, and I knew that when we had this conversation on my platform, I just knew that you would also be needed for this conversation. So I appreciate you coming on, and all of y'all are intelligent and educated, and the fact that y'all took a chance on my ratchet ass and came on my platform and spoke y'all truth and educated all of us on everything that we probably didn't know nothing about. I really appreciate all of that stuff. So I appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming up here And I love every single last one of y'all. And I really hope that this same panel is willing to come back again to have another in-depth discussion on things such as colorism or everything else. I really hope so, because I enjoyed every single one of y'all. That's all I gotta say.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
So, I first want to say, obviously, thank you to Scotty, but I don't think you all really saw that. If you look at the screen right now, you see, what I like to call it iridescence, a prism, a rainbow of melanin on this screen. And that is a beautiful thing to see, where we're all, different complexions, but able to sit here and, talk to you all. And if everybody can come off mute just so we can give Scotty a hand clap of praise for,
Yes.
together.
Thank you, Scotty.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Much
Scotty.
love to you.
Thank y'all.
Take a screenshot of y'all.
But you know what?
Screenshot of us.
Oh, let me do this too. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Let me do this too. Look up Marlon, say cheese.
Beautiful people.
Okay, y'all. Well, all right. Well, once again, thank you everybody for coming in. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Thanks for all the super chats. Thank you for my fellow Justice League members in the building. Thank you for Josiah being in the building. From me and Yarrell's other panel. Just thank you to everybody up here. This was a great conversation, and I really appreciate it and enjoyed it. Once again, I can't say it enough. And like I said, I can't wait till we get a chance to do something else like this. But with that being said, we are out of here, y'all. We 2 hours on the head. So thank y'all, and we out of here, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a good night.
Bye.